Hey everybody, you're back with Cale Casey here. We're live out at the Sheep Creek Lodge. I'm with our safety officer, Tom Greiling, right here on a Sunday where the traffic is now flowing both ways. And I can tell you, Tom, we're going to talk a lot about hazards because it's on our mind.
Sure.
When I was coming from the community center meeting, I found myself going about 50 miles an hour and realized I had to slow it down in here.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous aspect of this wildland fire. Firefighters, they can deal really well with all the normal firefighting hazards, and we're trained endlessly on that. Not to say they're not dangerous, we try to make them less dangerous, but the highway element is something that, we bring in the troopers, we bring in the National Guard, we brought in Quality Asphalt and Paving. They're doing a wonderful job for us here, adding an extra layer of protection, but the highway is an extremely dangerous component to the hazards that exist for our firefighters and the public.
So you're worried about the highway, now it's 2 lanes. Good for you so you can travel north. Please observe the speed limits. It's 45 miles the entire way, and we are treating it like a construction site. We do have flaggers out here. There will be stop and slow signs at certain points. So please don't pass in the zone, be careful. And then we have a lot of other hazards. We've been saying, as people get ready for re-entry early this week, it's like we don't normally do this and have people in our fire area and allow re-entry when things are this dangerous.
That's correct. I've been doing this for a little over 30 years and been on a lot of complex incidents like this in the wildland urban interface where you're mixing the wildland fire with structure fire and all the hazards that exist from both of those and the traffic. And typically the way we operate, we have everybody out of that fire area and we can really concentrate well on the tasks at hand. And I've, like others here on the team, fought fire all over Alaska, all over the lower 48, Southern California, Oregon, etc. And we typically operate with those folks. We do the evacuations, and there's a reason for that, to get them out. It's really for the safety of the public, safety of the firefighters. Now, there's folks that have come back in, and we understand they want to get in and check their homes. I would want to do that, want to know the status of my home, but it's creating a couple of other hazardous components to the firefighters and to the civilians as well. You've got trees coming down, you've got hot ash pits out there. Firefighters are getting injured every day from that. And it's hard enough as a safety officer, as a fire service instructor, to convey and train firefighters to these hazards and how to work around them and be careful and watch out for themselves. And we still have firefighter injuries.
Right, and we don't show up in blue jeans, we show up in our full gear. We show up to do a job which is contain the fire and make things safe. So right now what I'm hearing from our operations folks and our division supervisors is that we're not getting as much done on the perimeter of the fire as we'd like to, because all the calls of, hey, come on, check out this tree burning in my yard, or I've got this thing I'm concerned about, and then that group responds because we're mission driven, we're duty type people, we want to do a best job.
We have to serve the public. So now we're getting diverted. All those firefighters in various locations across the fire are getting diverted, and it's hard to move forward.
So our biggest concerns is we're getting burned with our gear on, stepping in ash pits. People need to walk on a known pathway at their property and not divert, not go out in the yard and look for things to go clean up, because that's where the ash pits are hidden, right?
That's correct. That's where the hot ash pits are. Known ground where it's safe, right? But then you got trees coming over.
Then you got the
power
trees.
lines. You've got structural collapse. You've got maybe there's something sitting there smoldering and there's a propane bottle getting ready to explode. Things like that. There's hazmat, there's toxic environments. There's a bunch of components.
I think Tom just nailed that on the head. I mean, we can tunnel vision and say, okay, watch out for ash pits, but gravity wins when a tree hits you and smashes your neck. You got other concerns.
That's right. Then what happens when the wind starts blowing, the fire becomes active again? People start panicking. The firefighters are trying to corral that and get that under control and respond to that.
So then what we need to do is accomplish a lot more. So folks who are either home or about to re-enter this week when it's legal, it's never going to be a safe environment for many more weeks, right? It's just, there's no way we can mop up everything and get all those trees down in the next couple weeks.
Under normal conditions where we have total control of the operations and the strategies and the tactics that are happening here, this would be a very durational fire, but we're adding to that length because it's just difficult to operate in here with the civilians in and around where the firefighters are.
And the urgency is that down the road, next week, we could get wind to really test this, right? And that could be a real issue.
This fire was a great big bully, okay? When it started, it was just a great big bully, and that was the wind that was blowing. When that wind stopped, the we started pouring in resources, more and more resources. We've got the upper hand on this fire. We need to maintain that upper hand and take advantage of every component of being the bully that we can right now, and part of that is the public's cooperation. Help us be the bully by cooperating with us. Make it easy for the firefighters to follow the tasks that were laid out by their bosses in the morning and not divert from that. When the wind starts kicking up again, the fire is going to want to be the bully again, and we got to kick this thing while it's down right now.
Really good point. So to wrap it up, help us be the bully. If you're home or if you're going to re-enter this week when it's allowed, please, if your yard is not safe and you know that, it's time to just go ahead and relocate for a bit. Let the firefighters get the perimeter containment. Let them get what we need to do to be ready for the wind so we can stay on the strong offensive, and then look at re-entry on your own at a responsible pace. Thanks for joining us here, and we'll come back to you again later tonight.